Did you know India's biggest advantage in the 1971 war may have been a dark room full of people just quietly listening? Hi, welcome to Beyond the History Textbooks. December 3rd, 1971. Pakistan launches a surprise air attack on Indian air bases across the Western Front. Within hours, the war has officially begun. But something about India's response feels strange. The country reacts less like it has been surprised and more like it already had prepared. Blackout protocols activate almost immediately across major cities. Streetlights disappear, windows are covered, air raid sirens echo through neighborhoods as NCC cadets move through the streets enforcing the blackout instructions. And in Agra, workers from the Archaeological Survey of India begin covering the Taj Mahal with green-dyed jute tarpaulins to make it harder to spot from the air. By morning, one of the most recognizable buildings in the world had almost disappeared into the landscape. And that was the unsettling part because Pakistan's attack had been designed around surprise. This raises a question that almost never appears in most history textbooks. How did India know that the attack was coming? The answer sits in a world most people never think about when they imagine war. Not tanks, not fighter jets, signals, intercepts, voices traveling invisibly through the air. SIGINT, also known as Signals Intelligence. 3 years before the war, India had quietly created a new intelligence agency, the Research and Analysis Wing, better known as RAW. Its founding chief was R.N. Kao, an intensely private intelligence officer who understood something that would come to define modern warfare. Wars are often decided long before they hit the battlefield. By late 1971, Indian intelligence units had been monitoring Pakistan military communications for months. Not just political developments in East Pakistan, but military movement, radio traffic, operational coordination, patterns that suggested something larger was beginning to form. And from a wireless monitoring network hidden inside New Delhi, Indian Signals Unit began intercepting transmissions that pointed towards one conclusion. Pakistan was preparing to strike. But instead of reacting publicly, India began preparing quietly. Aircraft were dispersed, blackout systems were organized, civil defense drills intensified, strategic locations across the country moved into camouflage mode. So by the time Pakistani aircraft crossed the border on December 3rd, India was already inside the bunker. And the intelligence war didn't stop at the border. It moved into the Arabian Sea. The Pakistani submarine PNS Hangor had detected what happened to be an Indian naval movement near Karachi and transmitted the information back to command. India intercepted the transmission. Almost immediately, Indian anti-submarine frigates INS Kukri and INS Kirpan were sent to locate the submarine. What followed was a tense underwater hunt through the Arabian Sea. And although Hangor would eventually sink INS Kukri, the first wartime sinking of a naval vessel in a region since World War II, the intercept itself had already changed the battlefield. India knew where Pakistani submarines were operating. It knew where to respond. Later, a Pakistani naval commander trapped in East Pakistan described the experience in devastatingly simple words. We were deaf and blind. That sentence captures the entire war. Because while Pakistan was trying to fight through uncertainty, India was already reading the battlefield in real time. The war would officially last 13 days. By the middle of December, Indian forces had surrounded Dhaka and surrender negotiations had quietly begun behind the scenes. But even then, India's signals units kept listening. And on the morning of December 16th, intercept operators picked up something extraordinary, a transmission from East Pakistan. Lieutenant General A.A.K. Niazi had decided to surrender. The message reached Indian leadership before the formal announcement did. Hours later at Ramna Racecourse in Dhaka, Niazi signed the instrument of surrender and more than 90,000 Pakistani military personnel laid down their arms in one of the largest military surrenders since the Second World War. But somewhere inside a wireless station in Delhi, the people who had spent months listening to the war heard it end before the world even saw it happen. Most history lessons about the 1971 focus on what people could see: the tanks, the fighter aircraft, the naval blockade, Sam Manekshaw, Indira Gandhi, the surrender in Dhaka, and all of that mattered. But underneath every visible operation was an invisible one. A war fought through intercepted transmissions, coded messages, radio silence, and preparation. The blackout imposed across Indian cities was only the surface of it. The real blackout was what India imposed on Pakistan's ability to surprise, coordinate, and understand the battlefield around them. That's the part most people never hear about. India didn't just fight the 1971 war on land, at sea, or in the air. It fought it through information. And by the time the first bombs fell, the listening had already begun months earlier. The war ended in 13 days, the blackout curtains eventually came down, the camouflage was removed from the Taj Mahal, the sirens had stopped, and history remembered the parts people could see: the soldiers, the aircraft, the surrender in Dhaka. But behind that victory was another battlefield, one most people never hear about: dark rooms, headphones, intercepted signals. People listening carefully enough to know what was coming before it even arrived. And in many ways, that invisible war may have shaped everything that followed. For more such history tidbits, follow us here at Quiet Curiosities, and I'll be back soon with another one.